right. First ride since New Year's Eve. Oh, hell yeah. Ride it home. Oh, hell yeah. This thing's great. I miss this bike. Yeah, man, this is my personal Sportster. This is my first Harley. I've had this since... Ooh, sorry, this thing is too much fun. Man, when did I get this? I had this since... I would say late 2013, if I remember correctly. I traded a 2001 Gixxer 750 for it. Yeah, me and my friends, oh, hold on, just listen. Oh, hell yeah. Sorry. Sorry. I haven't been on it in a while. Please don't jump out in front of me. Yes, my bad. Where was I? Sorry, I had to enjoy this thing for a second. Oh man, this thing's great. I missed it. Yeah, I've had this since like late 2013 or 2014. I traded a 2001 GSXR 750 for it. Me and my friends in our old neighborhood used to share this, like, damn, if I remember correctly, it was an 81 GS 750. And we, like, one of my buddies bought a new Harley, and then we were all kind of just like sharing this bike, and I was like, damn, I gotta get a Harley, I gotta figure out a way. So I took my 1994 Nissan Sentra SER at the time, and I traded it. I was trying to trade it for a Harley, but obviously that's like a very different genre. It wasn't very easy. So what I ended up doing, I got the idea, I was like, oh, I'll just trade it for any motorcycle and then trade that for a Harley. So sure, somebody hit me up. I was like, hey, I got this Gixxer. I was like, oh, hell yeah. So I got this Gixxer, and you know what? I enjoyed it for a while. I had the Gixxer for some time. It was definitely a lot of fun, but the goal was to get the Harley. So I put it up for trade. I wasn't trying to sell it. Was riding it. Oh, it's starting to rain. Was riding it while that was happening. And eventually traded it. Man, this thing looked crazy when I got it. It was like green, had forward controls, T-bar. It was just wild. I'll post a picture of it. Let me put some fuel in this thing real quick. Where was I? Yes. So, yeah, it was crazy looking. It was green. And then on the way home, a mile from my house, it died. Just stopped working. I had to push it a mile home to get back to my parents' house at the time. That was fun. Turned out, after chasing issues, again, it was my first Harley, my first carbureted vehicle, actually, if we're splitting hairs. New to petcocks and carburetors, you know. I was a mechanic. I used to work in car shops. I used to be a body man, all these fun stuff. But carbs were new to me. What are you gonna do? It was having a fuel issue. Looking back, obviously I know it would happen, but it had a hole in the tank that was so bad, they instead of trying to weld it, they bondoed it. And it started to fail, and then that was just like clogging the petcock, which makes sense, right? But like from taking the tank off and chasing down the issues, I pretty much borderline put my finger through the tank. I don't have any progress pictures, but I have a picture of what the bike was. I'll post that. But eventually I got a tank with, not this one, but you know, like a small peanut tank, and just started riding it and just fell in love with it, and it's been ever since. It's 2025 now, you know. Eventually, I think in 2015, I set it up for, we were doing a lot of traveling and stuff. That's kind of why I wanted to get into Harleys, because I was always traveling, so I was like, I wanted to do it on motorcycles instead of cars and trucks. So at the time, what I thought was making it like really good to travel was, slide this corner. I put a big old tank on it. Didn't paint it, just like a bare metal tank. Either, did it have the slammer shocks? I don't know. All right, I think it had slammer shocks, or I put slammer shocks. I'm gonna have to like look that one up. But yeah, so the slammer shocks, I got rid of the seat after one trip to like Tampa on it. I was like, this seat's terrible. So I put a Mustang Solo seat on it, which was really comfortable for, you know, that time. Big old sissy bar I got on eBay. And then the bike was like, you know, it was a little ratty looking, and somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody was like, damn man, that thing's gnarly. And then like in my brain I was like, damn, gnarly, Harley-Davidson. So I was like, so that was pretty much the birth of Harley-Davidson. So I got my friend who I used to skate with named Joey Keel to make me stickers to put on the side of the tank and say Harley-Davidson for my trip. And that's when I decided to ride this thing to California. So it was an 883 at the time, 1998, 883 with 20,000 miles on it when I got it. And that, I mean, I was in that was like a 2 or 3 month long trip. That was so much fun. That's a whole separate story. But yeah, I came back, and then like during that trip I did a lot of random like weird trails with like buddies I met on the road, and I was like, oh, this thing's too low, we got to get this thing all set up. So that's why I decided to raise up with some 13-inch shocks, which at the time I was like, damn, these are super tall for a Harley, this is nuts. Which is like, it's nothing. But then like, I remember just jacking it up, putting like tracker bars on it, and it just like slowly started to take it off-road more and more and more. And I feel like, I'm not sure which one of us, it might have been me out of my friends group, first one to actually get like a dirt tire for the Harley. That was fun. And then there was this race we heard about from this guy named David Rytel. I think I remember that name right. It was a race that allowed street bikes in. It was in Orlando. It's called the Woodsman Cup. I know this is a crash course story and I'm giving you a lot of it, but it's kind of how I remember it. Let's not run into the back of this smelly truck. Alright, so we heard about this race, and we heard that you can kind of like bring whatever you want to race and you can camp there. So that's what we did. So me and my friends, not set up at all, hopped on all our bikes. I think there was a Shadow in the group, a Sportster, a Dyna, 2 Dynas I think actually. Yeah, a newer Dyna and an older Dyna. And down from Fort Lauderdale, we took a trip all the way to Orlando. We rode to Orlando. I think we got to the race, to the camp out at like midnight the day before the race. And then, man, I think we always had our own class. There was a couple other Harleys, but it was pretty much us. That was so much fun. I think one of my friends had to tow his bike home. Another one, I think blew his belt or his clutch. It was mayhem. It was so much fun, and it sparked my love for like riding Sportsters off-road, which is nuts to say. But and after that, I was hooked, like literally hooked. I was just all in. I was trying to make this thing as capable as possible within my budget. Now it's nuts. Now people are putting like CRF front ends. These things are straight up dirt bikes now. Like what Ruster Butcher and all them are doing, like straight up dirt bikes, which is cool. And I would love to do that, but man, the dirt days around here are over. Let me turn around. Yeah, this bike has gone through so many changes, and I think after that, my bike was an 883 still at the time, so I think come 2016, in Daytona, I blew my head gasket on that, so I was like, oh, I was trying to figure out what to do from there. That's when I discovered the hammer kits. So in 2016, I put the 1250 kit. I had an extra set of heads that I thought were lower mileage, just looked cleaner than my head, so I put those on. Those were off of a 2001. Still 883 heads, nothing crazy. So it's a 1250 to 883 conversion with 883 heads. Sorry, my GoPro cut out. But yeah, that was 2016, and ever since then, that was pretty much the big motor change. Other than that, after a little bit, I put the Mikuni carb on there, never looked back. I was reluctant about throwing the Mikuni carb on here. I was like, oh no, the CV is so reliable. And I was like, my buddy Corey at MSM Cycles was like, he was talking me into doing it. I was like, I remember I got one for cheap. I think I got it for like in a box of parts. And I was real reluctant about doing it, and I did it. I remember the first day riding it, like the float got stuck and it was leaking fuel. I was all pissed. But then like after riding it and getting all dialed in, I was like, no looking back. The Mikuni's the way to go on these bikes. But yeah, this thing's been I mean, what am I saying? This thing has gone through so many changes since then. Like I'm constantly doing weird stuff to it. I had the Ironhead XL T bags on here at one point. There was like plastic bags from the 60s, which before I did that, I cut these off. And I welded them back on to do that little project. Then I cut them back off to make it back like this. So now what I'm thinking is I definitely need to change these foot pegs. After riding the DRZ so much, I hate them. So we're gonna do rear sets. That is for sure. Everything else is still up in the air. There's not much dirt stuff to do around here on this thing, and the dirt around here is like too much for the Harley. So I'm thinking of just angling a little more towards the street. Probably gonna throw some flat track tires on there. If I do the flat track tires, I'm probably gonna do a mid-glide front end so I don't have to cut the tire down. That's like the one thing I've always wanted to do. I've had flat track tires on this. I've raced this thing in many flat track races, but I always had to cut the tire down. I always hated the look. I hated doing it. So I want to run a full flat track tire on a mid-glide front end, rear sets, and that's all I really know right now. That's going to be one of, obviously that's not going to be set in stone because I'll probably change it again, but I think that's what we're doing next.